Good morning. I would really have liked to be with you in the room this morning or this day, but unfortunately that's not possible for many reasons. But unfortunately, then we can be together in this way. So the modern technology helps us. As many of you know, I'm an old friend of MISA. I have worked with you in different ways through different or several decades. And that's why I've been asked to give a few thoughts of mine about where you should go in the future. And there's one big advantage of being in this box, and that is that I'm so far away that you cannot beat me. And I need to be away from you because I have promised myself I want to be quite provocative today. That's what you have friends for. Only real friends tell you if your dress is not looking good on you. So all the girls will know that. My message to you really is that you're living in very difficult times. What has changed over the past decade or so in the general development world or development organizations and donor organizations is that there's a greater and greater demand for showing results. You have now, the buzzword is results-oriented monitoring. So that means that it's no longer enough just to have an organization. It's no longer enough just to be MISA and be there. And it's not a result just to have a chapter in all countries. There must be some results in terms of tangible things that you can do. We did this and it resulted in this. Now, but how do you do that? We all know that MISA Zimbabwe is one of the strongest chapters. MISA Zimbabwe has worked worked for better press legislation, better conditions for the media in Zimbabwe for decades. And they still have lousy media laws in Zimbabwe. They still have police confiscating radios, receivers from people who have received them from various organizations. You still have censorship. You still have beating up of journalists. So how can you say that MISA Zimbabwe is working well? Well, that's really a big challenge to show results, and it's a big challenge to say that because we did this, then this happened. But nonetheless, this is what the donor organizations need, and this is because of the political pressure from the governments and from the parliamentarians. As you may know, we have some kind of crisis in Europe, and basically the thinking is, why should we give money to the Africans or to anybody else if we are so poor ourselves? So greater focus on showing results and greater focus on trying to make projects which can yield results. Another challenge that you have these years is that donor organizations are simply cutting down on staff. One project officer in DFID or in Danida or Deutsche Welle will have to work with huge budgets. So there's no time to sit and work with small individual organizations. You may have seen that in your own countries, that if you go and present a small project, they say, no, we can't do that because the administration of a $5,000 project is almost as big as a $5 million project. So they want bigger projects and they want no trouble. They want everything to be in international standards. They want accounting to be okay. They want reporting to be okay. So they're using intermediaries more and more. I just finished a study together with Andrew Purifat, who is a former Article 19 director. And what we saw was that more than 10% of all EU funds for media development went through the BBC. Doesn't mean the BBC gets all the money, but it means the BBC are receiving 10%. And out of that 10%, quite a lot goes to BBC consultants. Internews, 5%. So what you see is you have more and more. In Mozambique, for example, IBIS is checking on MISA Mozambique and other organizations. So the donors are using intermediaries to make sure that things are okay. It's a way of taking responsibility away from the fewer and fewer desk officers, and they place it in bigger organizations. And what it means is that you get less and less money for the actual projects. I'm sure that your friends from, I just visited Zimbabwe last August, or when was it? There's a big project there administered by Deutsche Welle, and you can mean a lot about that. But the thing is that all these organizations who used to receive money directly from the EU are receiving less funds because Deutsche Welle is now the administrator of the funds. And that is a tendency that you will see grow. In fact, MISA would have the potential to be intermediary, but it means that there's no room for mistakes. There's no room for corruption. There's no room for not reporting. There's no room for pocketing money. And if just one chapter is abusing funds or not performing or not reporting or whatever, it falls back on the entire MISA. And that is a big challenge these days. MISA can be the intermediary. MISA does have the capacity to receive funds directly and to be the partner of choice or whatever the buzzword is today. But it means you have to behave, and all the chapters must behave very, very well. Now, there's another big question, apart from this showing results, that is a challenge today, and that is that the donors are basically asking you, what kind of organization do you want? I know that you managed, since I was involved a couple of years ago, to streamline your governance structure, so you don't have 3 or 4 or 5 layers anymore. That is a bit more streamlined. You have one board of directors and so on. But I know the question is, what then? Do you need a head office? Do you need a branch or a chapter in all countries? How do you want to be organized? And that, I'm happy to say that I cannot just give you the answer, because there is no simple answer to that. That's what you have to discuss these days. But what I do know is that it's no longer good enough just to sit in your chapter office and receive 3 salaries and then wait for money from Windhoek. Because money from Windhoek will stop if you do not perform at chapter level. So whatever you do, however you organize yourself, one critical thing is that each chapter must prove that it's necessary to have this chapter. Each chapter must prove that is worth keeping alive. Well, and then in order not to bore you too much, I'll finish. But I'll finish by raising one big issue, and that is the issue of why is MISA still, after so many years, is it 20 years or more, still primarily a journalist association? MISA is fighting for freedom of the media, freedom of the press, but why is that a journalism issue alone? I think that is really your weakness, that you have very good journalists sitting in the organizations around, but where are the lawyers? Where are the environment people? Where are the doctors? Where are the human rights activists? Freedom of speech and the free media is not just an issue for journalists and editors. It's a society issue. And if you want to become the organization working for freedom of the media and freedom of the press, then you have to include other people. You have to include the lawyers. You have to include the others, because you need the authors, the writers, the actors, the musicians, for that matter. You have to have a broader base if you want to be the organization really significant in Southern Africa to work in this field. I simply don't understand how you can have, let's say, you have more than 35 employees in MISA, and not one is a lawyer, and you're working for better media laws. That doesn't add up, guys. You have to look at this and broaden your base, and also broaden your staff base. MISA is not just a place where you can go if you've been a good volunteer, and then you can get elected as chairman, and then afterwards you can get a paid job sitting in the secretariat waiting for the money from Windhoek. Days long gone, my friends. So try to be a bit more strategic, and actually I think this is where you should have your focus the next couple of years, because as I understand, you have funds allocated from the Scandinavian donors for the next 2-3 years, but that will come to an end. You will end up in exactly the same situation in a couple of years, where they will ask you, so MISA, what are you going to do? And if you can come up with the answer saying, now we are in the process of broadening our membership base, we have done this and these specific projects, we have tried to target this and this specific program in this country, then there's a chance that they will continue. But you have to be much more efficient in the way you do things. It's not enough just to be MISA. You have to do MISA business. So now I'm sure you want to beat me, at least some of you. So I'm happy to be far away. If things are working out, and if the technology is with us, then we might be able to connect on a live voice connection in a minute. If that doesn't work, then I'll just wish you some very good days, and I'll wish you a very good future, and make sure that there's a MISA that I can work with also next year. Thank you very much for listening to me. Hope to see you soon. Bye bye.